Coming up tonight, Eleuthera police need your help locating the driver responsible for a hit-and-run fatality. Plus, a hostage situation sparking the need for more security throughout healthcare facilities on family islands. And in our Generation Next segment, Judah the Lion has new music on the way. We'll tell you more about its incredible journey as our news weekend starts right now. This is our news weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Shepard. Investigators from traffic police on Eleuthera on an aggressive hunt for the driver of a black vehicle following a deadly suspected hit-and-run accident. Reports say 30-year-old Sharvin Miller was discovered lying in the street near Urban Renewal in Greencastle shortly after 3 a.m. last Saturday with severe injuries and abrasions to the face. Police tell us Miller was airlifted to the capital where he later died. Investigators are appealing to anyone who may have seen a black SUV or truck with possible damages to the front and undercarriage to contact the Rock Sound Police Station at 334-2244 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. And still on Eleuthera, after a hostage situation at a clinic there earlier this year, Cabinet has approved the hiring of security officers for Family Island clinics. Our Marlena Leonard reports.
Over 100 new security officers are on the way for Family Island clinics, according to Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville. He says it was sparked by an event earlier in the year involving a hostage incident with clinic staff in Eleuthera.
The minute it happened, my team went into the area to assess the situation. And one of the key things that we have found is that throughout our clinics, there's a shortage of security officers. Most of our healthcare facilities in the Family Islands are under complete control of females.
He says spreading the word that security is on the way for the clinics is key. Dr. Darville says Cabinet has already approved.
I want to let the general public know that the Cabinet of the Bahamas approved me to hire 162 security officers to be deployed throughout the Family Islands. That particular recruitment exercise is ongoing, and we should have it completed in a few months.
He says the addition of security and maintenance staff is overdue.
The time has come for our nurses in the Family Islands to have that security support for two reasons. One, sometimes they're called upon at night, and sometimes they have to present themselves to the clinic, and I'm concerned about it. And so we went to Cabinet to get the necessary funding to hire security officers as well as maintenance facility support staff throughout the Family Islands.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Marlena Leonard.
And still talking healthcare, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville admitting to issues with air conditioning at Princess Margaret Hospital after reports on social media slammed the state-run hospital's cooling system.
Well, you know, these are the times of the month where many of our healthcare facilities have issues with air conditioning and refrigeration. I do admit that at our tertiary facility, we constantly have problems with our chiller system. I am pleased to report that that is being looked at. The other day, we had a problem at the kitchen facility where the air condition was non-functioning.
He says while cooling issues are being taken seriously, the size of the machinery required, combined with high demand, makes it difficult to resolve quickly.
The problem with AC units above 10 tons, there's a waiting list. You don't just go on the shelf and pick it up. And so for those units where we cannot replace the compressor, we are at a very difficult point where we go into the market to purchase the equipment, and the equipment is not easy accessible. And so we're tagging along, but all of these essential AC units are on order as we speak.
And we've been monitoring a health issue over on Grand Bahama, where officials are reporting a rise in STIs. We have got more reaction to the alarming details coming up. But first, an historic undertaking is how 4 former House speakers are describing the recent first reading and tabling of the Parliamentary Service Bill in the House of Assembly. In a statement signed by Italia Johnson, Alvin Smith, Dr. Kendall Major, and Halton Moultrie, the former speaker said the reading marked the first in a series of historic legislative steps in the restoration of parliamentary autonomy. They say the bill comes at a time when citizens are demanding more transparency in governance, accountability, and civic participation. The former speakers say they all believe restoring the trust of citizens will help strengthen our democracy and improve our ability to achieve sustainable development. The bill, which passed in the House of Assembly this week, will now make its way to the Senate. And speaking of parliamentary autonomy, while contributing to a resolution for the Bahamas to join the Inter-Parliamentary Union earlier this week, former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says, while the resolution is needed, more must be done to improve our parliament. He says, frankly, a new parliament must be built.
There's inadequate space for members and the staff of parliament. And just so the public would understand, to have just a slight insight as to the conditions here at Parliament, I would only briefly in 2 sentences talk about the bathroom. There's only one urinal facility, so if one individual is in, then others must wait in line or go and utilize the services of the bank or other adjoining businesses. Mr. Deputy, in the 21st century, we have one. Y'all don't have any. Mr. Deputy, in 21st century, I think that is somewhat embarrassing.
And the former Prime Minister says both sides have already agreed that a new building should be constructed.
Regardless of which party is in power, we must build a new parliament. We can't just keep talking and pledging. This generation of leaders must get it done. There's bipartisan consensus that a new parliament is needed. However, for some reason, we collectively have not gotten the job done. Now is the time to build a modern parliament fit for the purposes of the 21st century and beyond.
Well, we're just getting started in our news weekend, but when we come back, officials concerned about a rise in STIs on Grand Bahama. We've got more reaction tonight to the alarming stats. Plus, do you have an open door policy with your children? A local doctor tells us why now is the time to talk to them about the dangers of drugs when our news weekend returns.
Doctors Hospital has reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
And now to some shocking information coming out of Grand Bahama this week, as health officials report the number of sexually transmitted infections are increasing at a rapid rate. As of this month, some 28 cases were recorded. Those include gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia, and HIV. Residents in Grand Bahama reacting this week. Pastor K. Brian Sands is one of them, now calling on residents to be more responsible.
Slow down. Live life for God. Live life and do your best to save your own life by becoming more conscious and take more steps to prevent the spread of these disease that is destroying lives.
Trainer and motivational speaker Deborah Pratt says the news is concerning.
You know that their STIs are always out there, but the fact that it was brought to the news, that made me think it's definitely at an alarming level. And therefore they definitely wanted to get the word out to encourage persons to practice the proper precautions in order to protect themselves. Because we know Grand Bahama, as compared to Nassau, the population is definitely probably only about a quarter or so of New Providence. So for us to say that it's at such alarming numbers, that alone should put some fear in persons to know that if they are going to be, they shouldn't be living such a risky life, not just sleeping here, sleeping there, and just sleeping around and not taking proper precautions to protect themselves.
Meantime, Chief Counselor in West Grand Bahama, George Jimmy Smith, is calling on government to step in and address the issues at various clinics in the Western District. This as the hospital administrator for Grand Bahama says health officials are in the process of analyzing data to determine whether ambulance services are needed in that community. The chief counselor says there are some serious concerns about the clinics in West End and 8 Mile Rock.
We have so many complaints coming out of the 8 Mile Rock Clinic of the way they're being treated, the long waits, how long you have to wait. This can't be right that the largest settlement clinic is closed at 4 p.m. And if it's still being closed at 4 p.m., why? So it's a number of questions that the health area of government will have to look into what's happening in the Western District.
And he believes the West Grand Bahama District has been neglected by successive governments.
We need the ambulance service for more reasons than one. We need our drains to be fixed. We need our roads to be fixed. There's a number of things that we've been neglected, that I'm sure that some work is being done towards it. But time is going. We're right back again in the hurricane season, and there's some stuff that we were promised that is not completed as yet, which is the clearing of the drains, which is to take a look at the seawalls. And all of this boils into a district that really needs the infrastructure to be looked at.
It's a fairly new drug, at least on the streets of the Bahamas, but its potency and dangers are not to be taken lightly. We're talking about the synthetic drug fentanyl. Director of Addiction Services at Sandilands Rehabilitation Center, Dr. Kirk Christie, shedding light on the dangers of its uses and is now urging parents to talk to their children about drug use. Christie says although doses can be as small as 10 to 12 grains of table salt, it can kill you in a matter of minutes.
Any overdose of this drug will cause death. And certainly parents now need to talk with their children, find out who their children's friends are, whom they're associating with, and also speak to them in a non-judgmental, empathic manner and give them the facts about illicit fentanyl.
Christie says while health officials don't yet see fentanyl use as a crisis, now is the time to be on alert.
We suspect is being brought into the country. Of course, there are many access points. The Bahamas has porous borders, and so persons are getting it in pill form, liquid, and also powder. There's not a crisis yet, but we want to educate the grassroots, the community at large about the deleterious effects of fentanyl, that one pill can kill you. And that equates to about 2 milligrams, which is about 10 to 12 grains of table salt.
And fentanyl isn't the only drug, he says, parents should be worried about.
The commonly misused substances include marijuana, alcohol, cocaine, and tobacco products. Of course, tobacco products are used with marijuana, such as the Black and Mild backwoods cigars, BDs. Now we see the rise of vaping devices. I see more than usual persons using e-cigarettes, hookah, pens, and other vaping devices, which are also very dangerous and can cause chemical lung injury known as EVALI, e-cigarette and vaping associated lung injury.
He shares some of the common risk factors and why some users may turn to illegal substances.
Peer pressure. Also growing up, they may have not been told by their parents about safe practices as it relates to drug use. Also persons who may be involved in criminal activity as well, and persons who are being abused or traumatized, they may turn to substances to cope with their distressing symptoms. And also the lack of parental involvement, the lack of church involvement, risk factors.
As for how regulation can help,
we're going to recommend an update of the Dangerous Drug Act now to include the sale and manufacturing of illicit fentanyl, and also to prevent the import of pill presses into the country, and to add the new psychoactive substances, which include synthetic fentanyl, but also other drugs such as synthetic cannabinoids or synthetic marijuana. So there needs to be an urgent update to the Dangerous Drug Act of the Bahamas.
Now, if you suspect your loved ones may be dealing with substance abuse, Dr. Christie says help is available at the Community Counseling and Assessment Center. Now, to see that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. And remember, you can share your favorite stories right from the Our News Bahamas Facebook page. When Our News comes back from the break, dragon boat racing is making its way back to the shores of New Providence. Grab a paddle and not your remote. The details are on the way. Plus, Cable Bahamas cares. Hear how employees came together to give the gift of life when Our News Weekend returns.
If new, Heineken Silver was a riveting Viking saga.
Last the 12th, your family tortured my first wife and stole my second favorite goat. Now you want to marry my daughter. Okay.
All the taste, no bitter endings. Smooth, fresh, silver.
Welcome back. Making its way back for a second year is the adrenaline-pumping water sport dragon boat racing. It's tied to Chinese culture, but thanks to overwhelming support by locals last year, it has quickly grown a local following. This year's competition gets away in just a matter of months, which means you've still got time to sign up.
The festival is going to be on September the 30th and October 1st weekend. We are expecting a good turnout. We also stress for our breast cancer survivor group, corporate citizens, even the young kids like age 14 and up, and just for everyone to come out and have a great time. This is our way to give back to the community and to get everyone as a team building sport.
That was Vice President of the Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boat Association, Susie Chan, encouraging teams to sign up now. Brent Wong is a member of the Dragon Conquerors team, which happens to be the returning champs. And whether you want to participate on land, in a boat, or spectate, he says there's something for everyone.
You know, we want everybody to have fun. We want to be able to go home and take memories. So we do have divisions that carry you from 14, which is the juniors, all the way up to seniors. There's 14 classes, 14 divisions for seniors. And we also have a breast cancer survivor division as well. We have practices on Saturday at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. And we also have some practices during the week for teams that actually want to practice on a more aggressive schedule. If you know nothing about dragon boating, what you can do is you can register on the website, which is www.bcdragonboat.com.
Cancer survivor and member of the Bahamas breast cancer team, Busting Free, Denise Johnson, explains the health benefits of the sport.
Anybody who's has a survivor of breast cancer, we really encourage you to come out. It helps with your development. They've done studies to prove that it really helps breast cancer survivors. So we need help. The more members that we can have, the better it would be for our team.
And not to be outdone, Bryston Anderson, who is a member of the Royal Bahamas Police Force King Tide team. He says this year, the focus is on snatching gold.
It was a no-brainer to be a part of it again this year, especially finishing second overall with the short time that we had to prepare. So we wanted to see what we could do with, I think it's about 9 weeks until showtime. So with the 9 weeks that we have now, we want to see if we could come and go for the goal. Last year, we were the only law enforcement team. So we're looking for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, we're looking for the prison, the immigration, all of the armed forces that always call us out. We're now calling you out. Come on out. It's a great experience, and let's make this worldwide.
And I'm sure our team Cable Bahamas will be coming back again to try and win gold. Maybe. Saving lives through giving blood is something the Cable Bahamas group of companies prides itself on. The company held a blood drive for its employees as they saw the need to give the gift of life. Alive CEO John Gomez, along with a first-time donor, shares why they personally saw the need to give.
One of our core pillars is that we as community. And we're always giving back and finding different ways that we can help, not just in terms of the landscape, the environment, and what have you, but in terms of people. And so in terms of being able to give blood and donate blood, I think it's a commendable thing that we're doing.
I don't really like needles, so that's probably a deterrent for me giving blood, but I decided to do it last minute. Life is in the blood, so if people need it, then if you get help, then why not?
Senior medical technologist at the Princess Margaret Hospital, Crystal Bain-Simonet, says while blood levels are adequate at the hospital, more is always needed.
They could always be better, so it's always encouraged for persons to come in and help us out as much as possible. So it doesn't have to be that you have a family member in, as long as there's a need. We always have a need, so you're welcome to come. Blood only lasts for 35 days, so there's a constant need for persons to come in and donate on a regular basis.
And what a wonderful effort. Hats off to all our colleagues for answering the call. To see that story again and to learn more about how you can help save a life, head over to ournews.bs. Don't go away just yet. We've still got to look at the forecast and our Generation Next segment. If you wanted any more of Judah the Lion, stay tuned because we've got a sample of his latest song. Stay with us. Thanks for sticking with us. A beautiful Saturday with sunny skies. Will it last through the weekend? Here's your weather forecast for The Answer. For 34-year-old Judah Seymour, better known as Judah the Lion, music has been a long-time passion. The recording artist says although he's been writing since his much younger days, he didn't start recording and releasing music until 2010.
I'm hater free and I'm all fine before.
I always loved music. I grew up always loving music, and when I found out like I was to the level to where someone else might want to hear whatever music I create, then I started to take it more seriously.
And his musical inspiration are things we can all relate to. As he says, he's simply inspired by the ins and outs of everyday life.
Living in the city, you could go through an emotional roller coaster at any time. You'd be happy, sad, mad, you know what I mean? Just lackluster. Like, I feel like I try to express different emotions with different pieces of music. The one I did before that was The Sun, and it actually explores the low points, you know what I mean, that we tend to go through, and it's hard to pull yourself out of that. And anymore, it's like the new one expresses the high points, you know what I mean? So it's like each song I try to express what you might go through on a day-to-day basis.
Judah recently released a new song titled Anymore.
Video directed by Tony Williams of Full Court Films. Beautiful masterpiece he created. And it was produced by Sci-Fi, Aspen, Taylor, and Isaiah Johnson. I dropped it close to Independence because it gives me the feeling of like wanting to appreciate people as a nation, you know what I mean, and as individuals. And I guess the song and the video, we aim to show that, you know, through the art.
I'm hater free and I'm all fine before, yeah. Anymore. This energy's in me and I we going on. Time anymore. Hey, could you read? It's a big sign at the door, yeah. Time anymore.
Thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, we're wishing you a wonderful weekend. And on behalf of me, I want to wish my mom a very, very special happy birthday. I miss you and I love you. Have an enjoyable weekend, everyone.